due to the fact that you already got your money. You got your $107 or $109 million guarantee, whatever it was. You've got your money. You're clearly the franchise quarterback. If you didn't have your money, then I would side with you, Max, and I would believe he's lying about being upset. But because, unlike Dak Prescott, he's already got his money, and he's clearly the face of the franchise, I'm going to believe him. Not to mention this last point. Jalen Hurts, Max, numbers. Jalen Hurts is a winner. He's a stud. He's an incredible athlete. By the way, he completed 69% of his passes at Oklahoma last year, 72 the year before at Oklahoma. But despite the numbers, we all saw this brother in that national championship game in the first half when he was down 13-0 and he only threw for 21 yards on 3 of 8 passing. We know that when it comes to accuracy throwing the football, we look at him and our eye test shows us there's levels to this. Carson Wentz, when healthy, has absolutely nothing to worry about in terms of Jalen Hurts being able to throw the football better than him. Jalen Hurts is a football player. He belongs in the NFL. I'm happy for him. But Carson Wentz has nothing to worry about other than Carson Wentz's health. When it comes to the quarterback position, that's another reason I believe him.
Yeah, I think that you made some good points, and it's all a lot of logic that you laid out there, Stephen A., why he shouldn't be upset. But logic doesn't come into this. This is emotional. I think if you draft somebody in the second round, you're expecting them to contribute. And if somebody drafts somebody at your position in the second round, no matter how much money you've been paid or how much success you've had, it has to feel a little uncomfortable. I'm sure he doesn't love it because they're not drafting a guy in the second round to not put him on the field. Injuries aside, it appears that they're going to put some packages together to put Jalen Hurts out there and take Carson Wentz off the field. And it shows that they do have some concern about his injury history and maybe going forward. I think that it's crazy to suggest that Jalen Hurts is better than Carson Wentz or can be better than Carson Wentz, but it's important to understand that the most success that this Eagles offense has had is with the RPOs, which Jalen Hurts is a master of. And Carson Wentz was not great in RPO game last year. That Super Bowl run with Nick Foles was all based on RPOs, which Jalen Hurts made a killing at Oklahoma running those plays where he put up Heisman contention-worthy numbers in an offense that produced 2 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks and 2 first-round overall picks. So I don't think that he should be concerned, but I think there's plenty of reason out there to suggest that an emotional reaction to them drafting him would make him concerned, and it would bother me in the same way that Aaron Rodgers should be bothered. Not that they brought in a quarterback, that they didn't bring in something else that could help your team with the 2nd overall pick. That's not a spot where you go get a gadget guy. I know Taysom Hill has been the comparison that a lot of people are making, the way they're going to use Hurts. Taysom Hill was not drafted in the 2nd round. That's not where you draft a player like that. So I'd be upset. I'd be confused. And I know that Carson Wentz is a religious man, but that doesn't have anything to do with the way that you emotionally feel when something happens like that. When you're sitting at home and you find out that they've drafted somebody that's not going to take your job, but is going to take you off the field, I think that's an honest, emotional reaction to that situation.
It's worse than the Aaron Rodgers situation in a way, because while they didn't trade up to get Jalen Hurts, the fact is the best receiver was available. Wentz is supposedly in his prime. I mean, Rodgers getting up there in age, the whole thing. He's supposedly in his prime. And instead of getting the best available receiver, they held on to the pick because that's what it would have cost for them to get that guy, and instead used it on a quarterback who Howie Roseman has since said, without naming Russell Wilson, Howie Roseman has said, we missed out on Russell Wilson, who we had a vision about. He didn't name Russell Wilson, but he named he called the number he was picked at. We missed out on Russell Wilson. We had a vision about him, and we didn't want that to happen again. That's what the man just said. Why would you draft this guy if you didn't at least want a real backup and maybe replacement? Carson Wentz 27.
Hey, Max, just because you emphasizing it with your facial gyrations doesn't make it right. Let me ask you and Domonique Foxworth this question. If y'all got horse,
lack of self-awareness,
and you're about to lose your voice, stay with. If you got horse and you're about to lose your voice, and we got people at the ready in case your voice disappears, you offended by that? You worried about that? You lost your damn voice. Now, if it's something else, I get it. But you lost your damn voice. Carson Wentz has been injured. when healthy, we all up here concede he has nothing to worry about with Jalen Rose. How in God's name, Max, can you compare that with Aaron Rodgers,
Hurts, yeah.
who's fresh off of throwing just 4 interceptions last year, 4,000 yards passing, has carried the Green Bay Packers franchise on his back since 2008. They haven't drafted an offensive player ever in the first round since they drafted Aaron Rodgers in 2005. You desperately need a receiver. The wide receiving crop was the deepest crop in the draft in the modern era. And you ignore that and ignore Aaron Rodgers' need to draft his successor.
Right.
And you're saying Hurts getting drafted by Philadelphia because of an injury-prone Carson Wentz is comparable to what Green Bay did to Aaron Rodgers? Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. No way.
Maybe you.
Actually, what you just said is nonsense. You just proved my point.
Maybe you and Carson Wentz are a better person than me, and you guys just have more confidence than me. But yes, that would bother me. Whether my voice is hoarse or not, I get annoyed every time y'all have anybody else on this program because they're not better than me. So it bothers me every time you have someone come on, and I can understand that Carson Wentz feels the same way. It would bother him because he's like anybody else who you bring in here is not better than me. So I think that's normal. That's
stop it, Dominique. Dominique, stop it. You're lying. You're lying. If you're sick, Dominique, if you're sick and you have no voice, don't tell me that you want. I understand if you're healthy, but if you're sick and you don't have a voice, don't tell me you worried about somebody else. If the only reason you're going is because you lost your voice. Stop that.
He's not sick.
Let's extend the metaphor to make sense here.
He's been
If you chronically lose your voice, lose your voice, and the show needs something else, but instead that budget goes to getting your replacement in case you lose your voice, right? Or maybe just to permanently replace you, you're going to feel a kind of way about that.